At first glance, they seem completely harmless. However, if you genuinely value self-discovery and inner growth, their influence can subtly but surely pull you into a vortex of confusion and chaos. What's most astonishing is that they often remain unaware of the destructive power of their actions. Let's be honest. How simple life would be if every person came with a clear warning label. But alas, such a luxury is not afforded to us. This is precisely why we are forced to learn this truth through painful life lessons. By trusting those who don't deserve it. By expending invaluable energy on those who ruthlessly drain it. Or even worse, by losing faith in ourselves when someone's words or actions lead us to believe that we are the source of all problems. The purpose of this text is not to condemn others. Its true calling is to be your shield, safeguarding your inner peace, your path of growth, and your crystalline clarity in a world where the line between genuine and artificial constantly blurs. The great Carl Jung, one of the most insightful and influential thinkers in the history of modern psychology, explored this topic in depth. He warned that those who outwardly present the most radiant and flawless image often conceal the darkest and most hidden shadows within their depths. If you are currently on a sacred path of healing, spiritual awakening, and liberation from old conditioning, rest assured you are bound to encounter these 5 types of personalities. Perhaps they are already subtly present in your immediate circle. So let's turn to the first type, the unwavering rule follower, the one who never dares to question authority. These individuals live by the letter of the law, strictly adhering to every instruction. They do exactly what they're told, unquestioningly trust experts, mindlessly consume headlines, and obey directives without asking a single question. At first glance, they give the impression of exemplary, responsible, and upstanding citizens. But Carl Jung would urge us to look much deeper. Because beneath this visible, impeccable obedience often lies a deeply buried shadow. A rejected part of their true self that is terrified of its own authentic power. These are the ones who cling to external dictates because they are mortally afraid to open the book written by their own heart. They have traded their inner voice, their intuition, for external approval and a sense of belonging. And ironically, those who are easiest to control often become the most zealous controllers themselves. They despise free thinkers and roll their eyes with undisguised contempt at anyone who dares to question the established status quo. If you challenge their entrenched worldview, they will immediately try to shame you, manipulate you, or even worse, label you as dangerous. Why? Because your freedom reminds them of the very freedom they once banished and locked away within themselves. In the depths of our psyche, where all our rejected qualities lie hidden, Jung discovered the shadow. And the more fiercely we disown this dark side of ourselves, the more powerfully and ruthlessly we project it onto others. This projection doesn't just distort reality. it mutates into accusations, total control, and sophisticated manipulations, always cloaked in the shield of morality. Such individuals don't just follow rules. They actively recruit, finding it vital for everyone around them to march in lockstep. Your slightest deviation, your independent no, shatters the fragile castle of their illusory security. But here's the paradox: their intentions aren't necessarily malicious. They are rather deeply unconscious. Their ego, their very identity, has become so intertwined with accepted norms and rules that any questioning of these foundations is perceived as a direct threat to their very existence. If you've ever felt completely drained and exhausted when around someone who fanatically adheres to all rules and relentlessly pressures you to do the same, you now know what might be the cause of that debilitating fatigue. Now, let's move to the second type. Those for whom your sobriety or refusal to smoke is a personal insult, or, at the very least, a reason to consider you strange. You've surely met them. Those whose eyes narrow and whose gaze turns suspicious when you calmly state, "No thank you, I don't drink." In that moment, you might feel as if you've just announced you landed at the party straight from another galaxy. The response is an awkward, strained chuckle followed by biting sarcasm. "Oh, you must be the life of the party, huh?" With a smirk full of irony. Or even worse, persistent pressure begins. "Why not? Come on, loosen up, have some fun." The voice becomes demanding, almost pleading, but with a hint of aggression. They don't realize the main thing. Your choice causes them deep discomfort. And it's not about alcohol or cigarettes at all. The essence lies much deeper, in the clarity of your consciousness. When you remain sober, especially in environments where everyone else is numb, where it has become the norm, you inadvertently become a mirror. And mirrors, as we know, can be ruthlessly provocative. Your unwavering clarity reflects their own attempts to escape reality. Your calm presence mercilessly exposes their carefully constructed facade. Your self-awareness strips them of the ability to hide behind a convenient group persona. Carl Jung would call this a confrontation with their own shadow. Most people don't strive for awakening. They yearn to feel normal. And when you dare to choose a different path, your very existence exposes those inner parts of themselves that they haven't yet been able to accept and integrate. They project their deep discomfort onto you, labeling you strange, boring, or too serious. But beneath this superficial projection lies something much deeper, a primal fear. The fear of being seen without pretense, the fear of being judged by someone who refused to play by their rules. Because when everyone collectively succumbs to numbness, it creates an illusion of safety. But a sober person is an unpredictable element, disrupting their fragile order. This is someone they can neither read nor control, and it is this unpredictability that truly frightens them. And yet, here's the paradox. Their reaction isn't about you. It's entirely about the part of their soul that desperately seeks belonging, even if the price is their own self. Let's move on to the third type. Those who masterfully wield kindness as a weapon of control. Initially, they appear before you as guardian angels, caring nurturers, radiating excessive generosity and repeating with a smile, "I'm just here to help, nothing more." At first, they seem like a true gift from fate. They cook for you, generously share advice, and show tireless interest in every detail of your life. It seems they'll do anything to support you, always being there when others disappear. And this continues, precisely until you no longer need them. But then, as if by a snap, everything changes. The very warmth that once comforted turns into a suffocating sense of guilt. Support that seemed unwavering transforms into unbearable pressure. And then comes the bitter realization. Their help was never truly selfless. It always held you on invisible strings. According to Jung, this is nothing less than the shadow side of the nurturer archetype. At their core, these individuals build their identity on others' need for them. Their self-esteem is a fragile house of cards, held up solely by their ability to rescue those around them. But here's the paradox. The moment you begin to heal, grow, or finally stand on your own 2 feet, they feel betrayed, abandoned, and sometimes mortally terrified. Your newfound independence mercilessly exposes the very truth they have so desperately run from their entire lives. Who am I if no one needs me? This agonizing question often whispers in their soul, but instead of confronting it, they sometimes unconsciously undermine your growth. They will make sarcastic, passively aggressive remarks that sting subtly. They will insistently remind you of every favor, every sacrifice they made for you. Or even worse, they'll sow seeds of doubt in your mind, making you feel like an insufferable egoist merely for seeking your own space, a breath of personal room. But here's what's truly important to understand. These are not bad people, no. Often their actions are merely an echo of their own deep, unhealed wounds. Their roots trace back to childhood, where love had to be earned through service, where emotional stability was inextricably linked to caring for others, to feeling needed. The real danger lies not in their kindness, it's in the unspoken emotional contracts, the very ones you unknowingly have long since signed. So how do you protect yourself from this invisible web? You learn to discern true love from burdensome obligation, genuine support from suffocating control, authentic presence from possessive ownership. And most importantly, you give yourself the sacred right to grow, to evolve, even if it means you will inevitably outgrow those who once seemed an unshakable part of your personal history, your roots. Fourth type. Here are the perfect people who seemingly never encounter difficulties, know no grief or sorrow. Their mornings begin promptly at 5 a.m. with invigorating celery juice, followed by flawless yoga in sun-drenched rooms, and then an obligatory social media post about impeccable morning rituals and glowing gratitude journal entries. Their days are filled with morning workouts on sun-drenched beaches, and their six-figure business seems perfectly aligned with their true calling. Miraculously, their lives never experience the slightest glitch. At first glance, they appear as a living, shining affirmation. An ideal life is an achievable reality. One merely needs to work hard, radiate exclusively positive thoughts, correctly formulate desires, strictly follow rituals, and maintain consistently high energy. However, the great Carl Jung viewed this picture from a completely different angle. He deeply distrusted such perfection, for he knew well that when a person presents themselves as too flawless, they are typically not whole. In reality, they are internally divided. Such individuals are often running from a deep, carefully hidden internal discomfort that they have never been able to reconcile with. And instead of courageously confronting this shadow, they seek to compensate for its absence with manic overachievement, total over-control, and a performative over-projection of perfection. And here lies the main danger. You inadvertently begin to compare your own vibrant, sometimes messy but utterly authentic life with their flawless, polished image. And gradually, imperceptibly, you start to believe that your own struggles, your imperfections make you worse, less valuable. When anxiety, deep grief, or sudden chaos strikes us, it's easy to believe we are broken rather than simply moving through a phase of growth. That these feelings are a sign of our inadequacy, not a part of the human experience. But the truth is, true wholeness isn't a flawless facade. It's the art of embracing your multifaceted nature. Light and shadow, triumphs and scars, steady progress and inevitable pain. Those who appear flawless often merely skillfully mask their shadow rather than integrating it. Unknowingly, they can make you doubt your own humanity, skillfully implying that your very nature is a flaw that requires immediate correction. But this is a profound misconception. To be human, with all its facets, is the true meaning of life. Therefore, if you feel insignificant or inadequate next to someone who seems impeccably composed and in control, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath, then ask yourself honestly, does their presence truly inspire my growth? Or does it merely make me feel not good enough if I don't play a certain imposed role? Let's move to the fifth type. Spiritual gurus who manipulate you under the guise of enlightenment. These are the sages, yogis, healers, and high-vibration coaches whose speech is composed of quotes and chakra references. They seem to float above worldly concerns, radiating an imperturbable peace. They will listen while you share your pain, then, as if by a snap, suddenly declare your soul chose this path. It's merely your karma. Pain, that's just an illusion. Simply let it go, for you are too attached to your ego. Or my personal favorite, your own frequency attracted this into your life. All of this is nothing but spiritual bypassing. Even Jung warned about this, insisting that true spiritual growth is only possible through shadow integration, not by escaping it. But these individuals turn spirituality into a convenient shield to avoid confronting genuine emotions. They sidestep grief, hiding behind mantras. They absolve themselves of all responsibility, nodding to some destiny. And instead of simply being with your pain, giving it space, they begin to reframe it, reshape it until it ceases to be yours, transforming it into another lesson in some cosmic school you, by the way, never enrolled in. It may sound poetic, but when the soul cries out in pain, you don't need an editor, but someone who sees your humanity, embraces it rather than trying to fix or optimize it. This spiritual bypassing merely masquerades as peacefulness. In reality, it's a sophisticated form of emotional gaslighting that whispers to you, your feelings are invalid, your trauma is just your choice. When you're told that your grief is merely an illusion to be overcome, remember, Jung would call this not enlightenment, but a skillfully disguised escape cloaked in shining robes. True consciousness doesn't turn away. It fearlessly embraces everything. Burning rage, deep sorrow, aching longing, utter confusion. It doesn't hide from the shadow, it walks hand in hand with it. Be extremely cautious of those who rush to turn every one of your wounds into another spiritual slogan. For while their words may sound elevated and mature, they often lack the most crucial element for genuine healing: sincere, deep compassion. What unites all 5 of these personality types? The same thing. Within each of them lives a rejected shadow, an unacknowledged part of themselves that they once deeply buried, desperately denied, or ruthlessly disowned. What we so meticulously hide within ourselves is inevitably projected onto others. As Jung wisely noted, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. These people are not your enemies. No, they are your mirrors. Mirrors reflecting those corners where fear still reigns supreme. Where your identity is built on shaky roles, not on unshakable truth. Where the inner child still desperately seeks safety through total control, through a pretense or a painful yearning to be good. Perhaps you once found yourself in their shoes, and in this lies a much deeper meaning. It's not just about protecting yourself from others. It's about courageously looking at what they awaken within you. Because if someone tries to shackle you with guilt for daring to break the rules, stop. Look inward and ask yourself, where have I silenced my own voice? Where have I suppressed my truth just to feel safe? If another person seeks to demean you, to shame you for being different, challenge yourself. When have I betrayed my authentic self, compromised my truth in a desperate attempt to belong? And if someone skillfully manipulates you under the guise of kindness, trying to control, then bravely ask, where have I blurred boundaries, accepting genuine love as a burdensome obligation? Realize this profound truth. Every trigger is not an attack, but a persistent invitation. Every projection cast upon you is not a judgment but a powerful teacher. Therefore, cultivate keen discernment. Be wise in choosing whose presence, whose words gain access to the sacred space of your energy. But far more importantly, be uncompromisingly, radically honest with yourself. For the deeper you delve into your own shadows, the more fully you acknowledge and integrate them, the less power others have to manipulate you with their shadows. This is the profound work Carl Jung spoke of. Not to fix the world around you, but to bravely reclaim the fragmented parts of your own soul. It's not about adjusting others, it's about returning to yourself. If you value genuine inner clarity above fleeting approval, if your heart yearns to grasp the deeper layers of human behavior and, more importantly, your own, then this text is for you. The deeper you delve into your own awareness, the less power those who live in the grip of their unconscious impulses have over you. This is the life filled with authentic freedom and power that is worth building with every choice you make.